Greetings, everyone. On behalf of all my colleagues at Tigera, I am delighted to welcome you to CalicoCon and Cloud Native Security Summit hosted by our team. Very excited to have you all join us today. So first, let me start with a little bit about Tigera. We prevent, detect, and mitigate security breaches. That is the mission we set out on. We are the inventors and maintainers of Project Calico. As most of you probably already know that we are the most adopted open source Kubernetes networking and security solution. We're very proud of that. I want to thank you all for helping us get there. We are also delighted to have an amazing set of customers, and we have customers from Fortune 500 companies, from premier financial services institutions, some of the largest banks on the planet, and cloud native companies, some of them as small as 100-person employees, and telcos and e-commerce giants. So that spans the spectrum. We have offices across San Francisco, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Vancouver, Canada, and we have teams in other locations, including Toronto and London. And so we are global in that sense. We've got an amazing set of customers. We've had the privilege of working with them, serving them, and also learning from them. Some of them have been thought leaders in the cloud native ecosystem. They were some of the first companies to adopt containers and Kubernetes at scale. There's a lot of good best practices that we have learned from them that we hope to share with you today through our speakers. We also have a very rich ecosystem of partners that we've partnered with the who's who in the cloud native ecosystem. There's a small representation here on the slide. So Calico open source. So first, we built on a pluggable data plane that includes eVPF, standard Linux, Windows, and also our architecture enables you to future-proof your design. Yeah, because you never know when the next great invention in data plane may come along. But all the investment you make in Calico is future-proof because we have the ability to plug in any new data plane. As of today, we power over 2 million nodes across 166 countries. There's probably over 500,000 clusters. Very proud of the fact that we got more than 1 billion Docker pulls. We're very widely used across 50,000 enterprises. We have an amazing penetration in the Fortune 100, and we are the most adopted container networking and security solution. Today, we are joined by people from around the world, to be precise, 65 countries spanning 90 industries. So this is an amazing set of group of individuals who are joining us. Very happy to have the community participate so actively. And you can see the breakup of the audience. We have people, let me start with Japan and APAC. About 22% of today's attendees are from there, about 33% from the Americas, and the rest, 45% from EMEA. And that also probably reflects the global nature of the adoption of technologies like Kubernetes and containers. In terms of just the demographics of the companies, firmographics, we have attendees from very small companies, most of them cloud native companies, less than 100 employees. More than half the audience today that are actively participating are from the cloud native companies. And then on the other end of the spectrum, large global 2000 companies, close to 18.5% are from there, about 25% somewhere in between. I also want to take a minute to thank our sponsors today. I really appreciate the sponsorship from AWS, SUSE, and Red Hat. We've been working with all three companies for the last 5 years pretty closely, and we're very appreciative of them sponsoring us today. So we've got a very rich agenda packed with a lot of sessions. Taken a lot of care to design the agenda. So first, we have a lot of practitioners who've been deep in the trenches in cloud native over the last 5 years. And they've got a very rich set of lessons that they can share with us. So that's one category of users we've chosen. The second is just thought leaders in the cloud native ecosystem. The space is incredibly interesting and exciting. There are a lot of technologies and teams and companies that are continuing to innovate, so you'll hear from some of that. And then finally, open source practitioners. So we've tried to mix it up in designing the agenda. The afternoon sessions, at least the Pacific time afternoon sessions, there are 3 parallel tracks running, and depending on your choice, you can pick one of those. Let me just take a few minutes to highlight a few sessions. Every single session is going to be interesting and exciting, but let me just pick a few to highlight them. First, let me talk about Playtech. The Playtech team will share their journey with Calico as they move to a GitOps model to implement security management in Kubernetes. So, really fascinating story, and you'll get to hear that from the Playtech team. Second, Box, as we're all aware, is one of the earliest and most successful SaaS companies. They have an amazing amount of scale that they've had to deal with. They've pushed the boundaries in terms of innovation and designing of the security policies. And also, one of the key challenges that most companies deal with that they've successfully solved is how do you bridge the gap between the developers and the security and platform teams, and how do you actually shift left and get the developers to participate in the design of the security policies, because they're the ones who really have the knowledge of the application architecture and what the right security architecture needs to be. We also have a session on supply chain security and how to incorporate that into your CI/CD pipeline to shift left for cloud-native applications. We also have a session on turbocharging Kubernetes with Calico eBPF data plane in any environment. And then, one of the common problems we hear from customers is around IP exhaustion. And how do you manage IPs effectively using Calico open source IPAM? And finally, the topic of the power of open source software. How do you leverage the power to successfully move to an open hybrid cloud model? So I just wanted to take at least a minute to highlight a few sessions. Having said that, every single session, every single speaker has an amazing story to share. So hopefully, if you don't get to watch it live, hopefully you have a chance to watch some of the recordings of sessions that are happening in parallel. We have an amazing community, and we'd love for you to engage with us. And there are different mechanisms and channels through which you can engage with us. So first, Slack, Calico users. We have a very vibrant ecosystem of users in the community who are actively participating. Some of the best engineers in our company are very active on the channel, and that's how we've been able to build this community over the last 6 years. So would love your participation there. We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, so we very much welcome you coming and engaging with us. So with that, let me not stand between you and the speakers. We have a very exciting agenda over the next few hours. We really look forward to your participation. Would also love your feedback after the session. Please write to us, give us some feedback, tell us how we did, tell us what else you would like to see from these sessions that we hope to hold on a regular basis. And also, please connect with us on Slack and Calico users. With that, let me turn this over to our first speaker. Thank you.